All right, WandaVision. Episode 8. Robbie, say it. What is it? What episode?
The penultimate.
There you go. I didn't want to steal your thunder. Here we go. Jeff D Lowe, Robbie Fox, KenJac, Clem. Here to talk for about a half hour about WandaVision episode 8, which was a flashback episode of sorts as we see things that we have never seen before about characters we know a lot about. We got backstory and things that I think a lot of us wanted, or a lot of people who maybe didn't like Wanda or who didn't like Vision lacked. We got a lot of character backstory on Wanda. That's basically what I'm getting at. And Agatha as well. But quick thoughts off the top. Robbie, you're right below me on the screen. I'll start with you. Thoughts on this penultimate episode?
It was intense. It was heavy. Clem and I watched it together last night. It was the first time we ever did that. We did the Disney Plus group watch at 3 a.m. So that was a fun experience. And yeah, it was intense. They're going to have a lot to do during next week's episode, the finale, to wrap up all the loose ends. Right now, I'm very much in the mindset of like, are they going to wrap everything up next week? Or is this all Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and we're just really going to get a cliffhanger? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think what I kind of fell on yesterday was that I thought that this episode was going to be, you're not going to get to see the big bad. You're not going to get a hint of what the resolution of the series or season rather is going to be. You're going to get just a little bit more explanation of Agatha Harkness because they obviously just sort of revealed her right at the end. I think we obviously got that right off the start. I think it was cool to kind of see the background of, sort of Wanda Maximoff's trauma, right? Because we only just kind of briefly hear about it in Age of Ultron. We don't get to see it all fleshed out. And, seeing it actually happen in her memories was kind of cool. I think I kind of walk through her life and seeing her being transformed from just this random Sokovian into the Scarlet Witch is fucking cool. And hearing the words, the Scarlet Witch, also very cool. Officially now in the MCU canon.
This is such a nerd moment. Clem, also somebody in the chat just asked if you stayed up, which I believe you did. You and Robbie both did, right?
I did the straight up, fell asleep at 10 o'clock and set my alarm for 2:50 a.m. And I was up at 2:30 though, because I had like the butterflies in my stomach, because that's what we have. This is a word I don't think I've ever used before, but Robbie, I think you even said it too. We are simps. We are simps for Marvel now. My entire life has changed.
Yes. That's just it is what it is.
Yeah, like why even try to fight it? I mean, we go in and we're going to be geeking out about this for a half hour every Friday, and it's changing our lives and it's changing the way we go about life. I do like, if you guys noticed, I didn't clap in the beginning of the episode. That means I wasn't like over the moon, but I thought that it was a very important episode, both for the series and going forward in Marvel, especially if Scarlet Witch becomes kind of the central figure I think she's going to become. So kind of learning about her and Agatha. And it was actually kind of nice to kind of like turn off the brain and not have to try to pick apart a million things. I think that's what next week and the week after, if there is a bonus episode, which I'm hoping for, will be a lot of, getting the answers a lot of the answers to the questions we've been looking for.
Yeah, next week is going to be longer. That's what everyone's kind of teased. There's been the rumors of the bonus episode that's kind of been debunked, but it hasn't been like fully debunked to a point where you're like, not going to happen. I don't know. It feels like it's one of those things they could just surprise with something, though. Who knows? Maybe not whatsoever. I will say, and we'll talk about this as we kind of go down the episode, which chronologically was very easy to follow, by the way. It makes it much easier to prep for something like this. A lot of people are people like the episode. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people don't like it, but people are kind of reacting as if like all the reveals already happened. I've noticed that today. People are like, oh, this didn't end up happening. Oh, we didn't get this. There's a whole other episode. Like I actually like, I've kind of noticed that like people said, oh, that looks like it's not going to be multiverse. Peter Maximoff from X. It's like, we don't really know any of that yet. Like, I think maybe there's some things that we may not get because there's clearly one episode left and they cannot wrap up all of those storylines. But we'll get into some of these things piece by piece. Let's start out opening scene, Salem witch trials. Who would have thought you'd see the Salem? When I learned about this boring ass thing in elementary school, who would have thought? I went to Salem, Massachusetts. But we do see Agatha. They try to kill her, the fellow witches. And then we see her mother, one of the witches, actually kind of get a crown. So very Scarlet Witch-esque, which I thought was very cool. A little tease to that. And then the purple magic, which we saw the purple light was bad magic in Doctor Strange too. So that's obviously bad magic, right? It's negative, not good.
Like the dark side of the Force in their
Menacing.
terms.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, I do want to note one thing. Then we can make some comments on this if you want. But there was a character in this opening scene looked like a character from Star Wars. You know who I'm reaching for here?
When she disintegrates, are you talking about Zam Wesell?
Dang, Zam Wesell right there. Look exactly. That's exactly what I thought of. The Changeling. It was such a cool toy, too. And then they were like, no, she's dead.
It was with the face that came off and everything, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I have a couple. I wish you could save comments. I'll get to that comment in a second. Anyway, so we see that Agatha is incredibly bad. She gets the brooch. She kills all the witches. Her powers are just too much. She's very evil, though with some intent to be good, which that's always the thing with Agatha. And then when everyone talked about who were big fans of the comic, they said Agatha is not like an evil person. She's good and bad. It's like there's some intent there. And you can even get that sense during the episode, too. She has some more nicer moments with Wanda. Anyway, there you go. Again, people noting in the chat, yes, the crown, that was kind of the big thing from that scene that I noticed because it looks, very much like the crown that we see traditionally with Wanda. Next up,
like a Nazgul from Harry Potter. Not that Robbie would know that, or from Nazgul from Harry Potter. You fucked me up because I was about to say you don't watch Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Nazgul from Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings means nothing to Robbie Fox.
Yeah, I've seen each movie once.
That's for a chat at another time, folks. Next up, let's go to Agatha's basement. Wanda suspended in the basement, back where we left off in the previous episode. We see a big fucking fly turned into a bird. All this magic and reality changing. I thought she was going to say the word mutant in this scene. I thought there was a couple times where she was going to say mutant because she's like she changed the bug into like a bird, like mutate, but she didn't. She kind of explains who she is. Wants to know how Wanda did it. So that's kind of the thing that we're clued in on, that she doesn't know how Wanda did it. She's kind of stunned by the magic. That's where we learn that Pietro is not really Pietro. She calls him Fietro, fake Pietro. But I think still could be multiverse, like from the X-Men. I don't think that we've landed on exactly who or what he is. Like, I think some people kind of threw it out the window, like, oh, the bummer of a reveal. I think it still could be like she had to grab him from somewhere, and he has those powers.
And in the comics, Agatha Harkness, I researched this last week, has the powers to manipulate energy from other universes. Literally, maybe taking him from another universe, manipulating it in that way.
I think the implication is very obviously there that it is supposed to be referencing the multiverse, right? Because I don't think they would just have this be like a cameo, because that would be such like a fuck you to us. And like, I think Marvel's just like a teensy bit smarter than that. At DC, I could see doing this, not Marvel.
I was about to say the same fucking thing, KenJac. I expect DC to do something dumb like that. Like when we heard that there's going to be like 2 different Batmans, Michael Keaton's going to be an old Batman, but then I'm like, wait, there's like 7 fucking Batmans who haven't technically retired yet. It's so goddamn stupid. However, DC would do that. I give Marvel a billion times more credit. They can't do that.
What if it ends next week where he's like, all right, guys, back to my multiverse. And you see Patrick Stewart in the background waving. That's the cameo. Also, she makes fun of her accent. I thought that was incredibly on the nose and great. Like that, what a very on the nose meta way to make it so people just don't talk about her accent anymore.
Yeah.
That's like a second time that's happened, right? Pietro said it as well, right? He's like, she goes like, what happened to your accent? He's like, what happened to yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that. And then also wanted to note, Heavy Spoilers, a YouTube channel that I love to watch. They do really great breakdowns. They mentioned, too, that we've heard the word witch before. Loki used it in Thor Ragnarok, said he couldn't help out Thor when he was in New York, actually, and said, like, I'm not a witch. We obviously know Frigga, Thor's mom, knows magic as well, or is a witch, looks into the future with Thor and all this shit, and Avenger, or knew that's how she knew. Here. Now that's how she knew he was not present day Thor. He was future Thor and Endgame. Brought up a great point. So shout out to Heavy Spoilers for that. Now a very back in time Christmas Carol type thing. We basically get the rest of the way. We go all the way back to Sokovia when she was a kid, and we learn right away why she loves sitcoms. We learn right away why sitcoms are involved here. It was this dream world for her to live in. Dick Van Dyke. You see all the ones they've referenced. Dick Van Dyke. I almost said Frankie in the middle. Malcolm in the Middle. I Love Lucy. I Dream of Jeannie. They're all there. She loves Dick Van Dyke, which was almost shot for shot the same thing we saw in the first episode. And the best part is, if you're like watching this new, you don't expect the bomb. But we were all like, were you just sitting there like, all right, when's the bomb?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When's the jump scare?
Stark Industries bomb.
Yeah. It was still heavy when it hit. Like the music was so perfect in this moment. It made it seem like the perfect family moment. And I kept thinking what this episode would be like through the eyes of someone that isn't so familiar with the MCU. Like I know a few people that are watching WandaVision kind of like they're jumping into it and this is their start. And I've had to explain things to them along the way. This episode kind of makes it where everything that I've had to explain gets talked about here, gets shown even. So it like gives it that complete thing for someone that's not a big fan. They won't really need any explaining. Once the show's over, they'll get it from start to finish. The trauma, all that.
We also learned that Wanda, so a lot of people noted too that the red dot, that was like the toaster oven that we saw, like the toaster in the first commercial we saw on this show. But apparently Wanda said for years that the bomb was defective, but Agatha convinced that she used manipulation to change it. She changed the probability, a probability hex, I think is what she said. And she changed the bomb from exploding. And it actually was her, and she is a witch. She had those powers. So that's your first kind of little clue there.
Which is like a retcon kind of.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool moment because it almost mirrored the Tony Stark bomb explosion from Iron Man, the opening Marvel movie, because it was almost, I think, and maybe it was the same exact type of bomb. And I want to note, just for our own references, that we are going to call the hole in the wall in the Maximoff household that stored Dick Van Dyke, that's the dick hole. And we're gonna call that the dick hole. I'm gonna enter it into the MCU Wikipedia, and there's nothing they can do to stop me.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
Someone said Bryan Cranston is now part of Marvel canon, and that's all that matters from this episode.
Yeah,
that's also true.
Dick Van Dyke.
They're all part of it. Also, it's very funny that his dad was like a used DVD salesman in the middle of a war zone. Like there's there's someone firing AK-47 like 2 feet away from them. They're just like, yeah, let's watch I Love Lucy.
It's a guy shooting him like, hey, I'll buy Malcolm in the Middle. You got any Seinfeld on you? Yeah.
By the way, were the mom and the dad, were they the actors from the commercials or no?
No.
I don't think so, no.
They were not. Next up, now we go to Hydra Labs. This was fucking awesome. This was cool. Because remember, we have only ever really seen Wanda in the Hydra Labs from the post-credits, mid-credit scene. There are people in the chat are going to know, and I don't know, and that sucks. I think it's the mid-credit scene for Captain America and the Winter Soldier, where she was manipulating like the wooden blocks, and Pietro was moving around and shit. We see her basically become one with the Mind Stone. We even see this vision of her, no pun intended there, as the Scarlet Witch. And the Mind Stone is what we figured and we knew is very much a part of her. And obviously it was in Vision's head. So she is basically one with the Mind Stone. And what was the actor's name, KenJac, the Hydra assistant?
Oh, it was Hans Obama.
That was, yeah.
Just the greatest name I've ever seen. Hans Obama.
Yeah.
Security guard.
The Hydra people weren't anybody unless someone caught an Easter egg that I didn't catch. The Hydra people were just regular Hydra people. I didn't know if we'd get Von Strucker or someone else, but we did not.
Did you guys see this about the Vision, by the way? This was like kind of enhanced, and then they took 2 screenshots from the poster, and it's her new costume.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Wow. Okay.
It does look really good too.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Almost makes me think like, is that the Scarlet Witch in the way that Jean Grey has the Dark Phoenix?
The Dark Phoenix. Yeah. True.
Which is kind of what
makes sense.
We'll get to that when we talk about the end here. Next up, Avengers HQ. This was a more heartwarming scene. This adds a little more emotion to the characters. Vision getting a fit off as usual. Guy just loves wearing normal clothes. Is he a Kirkland guy, you think, Clem?
I fucking hope so, man. I love Paul Bettany. I fell in love with him, but I don't know, because he did a wardrobe change between you guys and KFC Radio, so I feel like he's on a whole new level.
It is
true. It was crazy.
The context this adds, though, that she just loves sitcoms is so funny to think back on like Civil War now when she was in HQ and like they're walking around and they're talking about Sokovia Accords. She's like, I'm just going to go into my room and watch like something from Fox. Like, yeah, it's just so because she just sits there and watches TV all the time is very funny to me.
She's a great scene from Malcolm in the Middle. The scene where like the entire awning collapses on Hal. That was a great scene.
Funny scene.
What are you saying, Clem?
She is such a tragic figure, Wanda. Obviously, you kind of like see it as her heart breaks throughout this. All she needed was Spider-Man to be acquired by Marvel, and she could have just talked about old school fucking pop culture shit, she would have been fine with Peter Parker. Instead, she had to like go to the robot, which now that whole Mind Stone thing now, I always thought like she loved Vision, and Vision was obviously this like computer that they just clicked. It's like I feel like she's in love with the Mind Stone more than anything, though, and obviously she has a very deep rooted affliction with it.
Yeah, that could be a great point. It's completely attracted to that. Yeah, but Vision Vision loses it. It's like, you don't like me anymore?
I
almost feel like her having to explode
line in this scene, by the way, like that heavy line where he's like, what is grief but not love persevering?
That was a great line. Agreed.
Great line.
Next up, we go to Sword headquarters, closer to present day. Not that long after the events of Endgame, and she meets Hayward for the first time. We'll get to Hayward in a little bit. We'll talk more about him. She sees that they're working on Vision, and this is where we kind of get a big surprise, because I think most people watch the show assumed, and the show tried to tease it that way, that she walked into this headquarters and she just took Vision. No, he is disassembled, and they're trying to figure things out. She breaks the glass. I thought shit was going to go down. It was a fake out. She just left.
Yeah. Doctored the footage. Fake news.
Exactly. And you could have. You saw the shots that Hayward had shown Rambo, right? Like the shot where she knocks open the doors, shot where she lands in the actual like disassembly room. Like, I don't know what you would call it. They're doing like an autopsy, basically,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So you see all of that.
He's a real manipulator.
It's very much like what she does with the show when she just edits shit out, when she like blasted Monica out. It's his version of that.
He was prodding her through in that conversation. Like some of the shit he was saying, it even seemed like he hinted towards like, hey, you can reanimate your husband's dead body, can't you? Like he put that idea in her mind a little bit.
Yep.
The first thing I thought in this was that he was acting so cocky around Scarlet Witch, a person who could easily just destroy him in a trillion different ways. Which makes me think there's so much more to Hayward than meets the eye, especially just now after seeing he obviously lied to Rambo. And I mean, I don't know. There's something up with him. We're going to find out soon.
Well, could this be him making Sentinels? That's been the other thing people want to mention. There are a lot of mutant talk. You can feel the vibe that mutants are on the horizon here. Is he trying to create Sentinels with Vision, basically starting with Vision? That could be the case.
I love that theory.
I do too, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it's like sentient. Like these are the beings, these are the weapons. Like he changed Sword's name a little bit. Like I just think that this is a pretty fucking good theory, or something close. Like he's clearly building something, and this kind of aligns with the idea of Sentinels. X-Men again. If you're an MCU fan or not an X-Men fan, I would kind of dive into the X-Men movie just to familiarize yourself.
Mm-hmm. There's some good ones. I mean, it's not like it's not like it's the DC universe where it's like, oh my god, they just were like Kevin with the fucking chili the whole time. Like there's a couple bad
fucking Sentinels movies too. The Sentinels in Days of Future Past were so cool. They were like so menacing and scary. Like the scene where they're obviously like they're all based around like them attacking that temple. They're fucking frightening, man. And like they put this sense of dread into superpowered humans that are just superheroes in general that you don't get out of like any villain really.
Also, some of the best cartoon episodes, the Sentinel ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Hayward is like, it was like one of the episodes when they're talking about Scarlet Witch's powers. You could tell he has like a real hatred towards people who have those kind of powers as well, which would kind of tie into he'd be like the Trask of this universe.
Mm-hmm. He has a weird vibe of kind of about anybody, even Monica. Like just goes like, Hayward's a sketchy dude. We'll get to Hayward though at the end. Also, she's driving a Buick Verano.
It's a Verano. I thought it was lacrosse this whole time.
Yeah, no, we thought it was lacrosse too. It's apparently a Verano.
Sensible.
Which was just, let's get her better. I mean, I guess maybe it's a good car, but like I thought we could get her something a little crazy. Like,
we're 5 years
riding around.
I know you would think like
BMW.
You see videos all the time of like a rapper that'll buy all his boys like Ferraris. Like, come on, Tony, buy the Avengers.
You save the world.
Jeez,
something nice.
After that, we see her create the town that is Westview. Now, a couple people have brought this up. So let me get to the point in a second. You see her drive through Westview. You see her recognize or see all of the people that we then become familiar with. And it's a weird-looking town, too. It's definitely a post-snap town. Keep that in mind. A lot of the country looks fucked up. So it's definitely a post-snap town. And I initially thought that as well. Like, whoa, Westview kind of looks like a dump. Which we actually thought Westview didn't exist, right? Isn't that what we were initially told in the show? And I do, if I can scroll up enough and get that, I want to credit the people who made the comment. Explain Westview exists before Wanda came, because that's what they said, like it didn't exist. So we'll see. That's an answer I'm sure we'll get. But my thought was like, damn, it's a dump. But I forgot most things were a dump when they won. The cleanup after Endgame was incredible, like with all the people back. Imagine coming back after that. Well, you think it's 5 minutes, but really, or 5 hours. It's 5 years, and people are like, all right, now help us fucking clean up. Come on. Like,
I didn't even make the match
on all the TV I missed. Come on.
Yeah, everyone's saying it. Like they said, Westview didn't exist. Clearly, it existed.
I think that might have been like Wanda could have put them under a spell as well. You know how Agatha the whole episode was like, "Oh my God, you created these illusions and spells, miles away from where you were or whatever." They could have just like Westview could have existed, and then to the cops, it didn't all of a sudden.
Yep. Agreed. Somebody asked this too, Robbie and Clem. You can explain. You explained this the other night, right? What happens to people who come back from the snap-on planes?
I mean, they're going skydiving.
No, they said no. They said they're just on the ground.
No,
that's
reverse.
Really?
That's why you knew that explanation. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just appear on the ground.
Got to give Bruce credit.
That seems like a cop out. I feel like they would be skydiving.
That's Tony Stark. When he snapped, he's like, "Bring everyone back, but also if anyone's in the air, please put them on the ground safely." That was his. Yeah. Many people saying, again, cops said it didn't exist. Jimmy Woo said it did. So, yeah, maybe they were manipulated. We'll have to see. She gets a deed to some land. This is like our forever home. So she goes there. She lays down in the lot. She sees like, oh, we're not going to be together. And then she just fucking explodes with red magic just everywhere. Takes over the town, transforms everything into a sitcom. And then the big thing, she creates Vision with her power. We've seen this in the trailer, and you see it's yellow, very Mind Stone-like. So that's the Mind Stone in her. That's the Mind Stone in her just throwing out Vision, basically, and creating Vision. So now, again, we basically knew that she created Vision. Though at that one point, I did think, did she go back and get him? But no, she didn't. She did create Vision, the Vision that we see in the Hex. And she created this whole town. And then we have Agatha back, present day, and she realizes she's like, oh, she's the fucking Scarlet Witch. Her exact line was, "You're supposed to be a myth." She said she's using chaos magic, which is also called hex magic. Another word for that is hex magic. And she said, "You are the Scarlet Witch." And she's like, we mentioned that probably like it seems to be a nexus being, spontaneous creation across all realities, just so many things.'s incredibly powerful. And that's always kind of been the complaint about Scarlet Witch, right? Is that they're like, she's not powerful as she is in the comics.
Yeah.
She's pretty fucking powerful now. This is big time stuff, right?
Yeah. Chaos magic is another huge thing from the comics that I read up on today. Basically, it's something that the Sorcerer Supreme, even like Doctor Strange, didn't think existed. And it's exactly what you saw with her creating Vision. It's her creating reality that is real. It's not an illusion. Like she's literally just creating matter, what she wants to come out of, her. So it could be Billy and Tommy. It could be Vision. Still up in the air because, Vision getting dragged back into the Hex. It's like, if she is done with the Hex, is Vision going to stay there? We don't know about that, but yeah. Chaos magic is like a huge fucking deal.
I think that they could both be very much real, not only just because she's obviously gotten all of her powers from the Mind Stone, which is what made Vision, but the Mind Stone is like still out there. There could be like resonant effects of it still like having the ability to create stuff. So I think not only are their children real, but I think this could be an opportunity for Vision to be like quote unquote back from the dead, right?
Yeah.
Are Speed and Wiccan or Billy and Tommy real or fake? Are we going to see them? People tease the Young Avengers. I don't know. It's tough. There's a lot of there's still a lot of answers to be made here.
Do you think one is going to age up into like Jacob Tremblay and Finn Wolfhard, and those are the people that Paul Bettany wanted to work with?
Well, we'll get to that. Let's get to that now. And then the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene is we see the white version of Vision. Hayward, who, by the way, I also wanted to note, Hayward did mention he was tracking Vision through vibranium, but Vision was clearly not vibranium. But I don't know. Maybe she created it, and that's still traceable.
I think that's what the chaos magic is. I think like she created the actual matter of vibranium, and that's how they're like, what?
Someone brought up this point. Didn't Rambo and Darcy say that the kids were real? That's a good point.
$3 billion worth of vibranium and 2 humans. That is chaos.
Are we not going to talk about how the rabbit ate the bird? The rabbit ate the bird.
Fucked up.
No, it turned back into a bug. It turned back into a bug at the end of that throw.
Oh, really?
You could see
it into its mouth.
But Rabbit could be something. I assume the Rabbit will be something. We still don't know about Ralph, her husband. Mephisto's name still being thrown around. But again, people kind of put the Mephisto thing to bed. I don't think that's the craziest thing to still reveal that she's under the influence that. I don't know. Again, those are theories now, and there's so many. We have such.
I mean, there's another guy.
One episode left. It's tough to tell.
The guy that is like the chaos magic, guy, the elder fucking guy who Agatha's worked with before, was voiced by Mark Hamill in the past. So people were like, is that the Luke Skywalker cameo? You bring in that guy, voiced by Mark Hamill. That's the guy he's always wanted to work with. Who knows?
This is a theory I've been tweeted all day, and I don't like this theory, partly because that means KenJac and I were directly duped to our faces. People think that Paul Bettany is duping everybody and saying that the actor he wanted to work with is just himself as Vision again. I don't think that's what he meant. I don't think that. I'm in the minority. Many people have said this today and in the chat. I think I think there's still someone else to show up here.
I thought people were saying that as a joke. I think, honestly, at this point, I know we were talking about Magneto. I know we were talking about Professor X. I think Doctor Strange is coming in next episode. I agree. You're talking about magic. You're talking about chaos magic. You're talking about this is going to lead into the next sequel. I feel like it's going to be Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Dude, you know what she does, Agatha Harkness, in this movie? Remember when she takes that strand of hair off of Scarlet Witch's head? You know who else did that? Doctor Strange in Thor Ragnarok. Took Thor's hair right off, used it to teleport. Just saying, pieces are starting to come together. It's like a Kronk in Emperor's New Groove or whatever. It's all coming together.
The second week, I think we got a Kronk reference.
White Vision, the Vision Quest run of comics.
I'm calling Cumbot. He's too pearly white.
Will they fight each other? Is this the big reveal? Like I said, he doesn't have the memories or knowledge in the comics, so you assume he doesn't here. The fight is probably going to happen. You'd have to imagine be fucking badass. And then I want to throw some things about. Again, people have tweeted me all day. They're like, "Do you think Paul Bettany was lying to your face and he's just fighting himself?" I don't think so. Could be wrong. Though. Also, another note. Someone said, "Is it voiced by James Spader?" Because some people saying that this could just end up being Ultron, really. Like this is just the Ultron version.
That'd be dope.
Be pretty sick.
And Ultron is also not controllable, so that would be weird. I don't know. I don't think so.
Interesting idea, though, an option. Because again, I think we don't really
know.
He
like switches into it a little bit or something, Yeah.
It's gonna be like a Terminator T2 versus T1000 fight, or X23, or not X23. Whatever the Logan fight.
Right. Yes. The Logan is a good example. All right. So I told Frank I'd credit Frank. Some people mentioned in the chat. Frank is convinced that he thinks Hayward is Talos, but he said if not, he still thinks it's a Skrull. He thinks Hayward is a Skrull.
I'd be pissed if it was Talos. Talos was kind of our boy by the end of that.
I kind of like the idea of. I don't think it's Talos, Ben Mendelsohn's character. I do think he could be a Skrull. I think that would make a shitload of sense.
Leading into Secret War, Secret Invasion, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's bad Skrulls out there, man. Being a shapeshifter and him being so sort of at this point, I feel like we've seen him be like the cause of all this. Essentially, like all this could have been avoided if he wasn't doing certain things. So I feel it is very possible.
And I want to. Skrulls definitely got like too good of a rap at the end of Captain Marvel. They got to have to bring them down a little bit, right? Like I didn't know anything about them, and by the end, I'm like, these guys are the greatest things in the world. And then I read about them. Maybe not so much.
Someone said Jimmy is Talos.
Jimmy Woo
is missing person. Are we getting
Talos
that?
isn't Far From Home, but that is a few months later. So do keep that in mind. That it does take place beforehand. Also, there was, I think it might have been heavy spoilers again, mentioned that they show Vision dead in the in memoriam in Spider-Man Far From Home, and this happens a while after. Though I'm not sure how secretive the events happening here are. I'd imagine they're fairly under wraps because everyone assumes Vision's dead anyway. So I don't know how much that matters. I want one very bold prediction. Bold enough that you think it's probably wrong, but a bold prediction that's mildly realistic. I'll start with you, Robbie, for last episode.
I mean, the one that I would like the most is Magneto coming in, is like fucking Ian McKellen Magneto coming in. That's the one that I think is wrong. I think bold prediction, it's going to be Doctor Strange and Wanda is going to have to kill the old Vision after like he doesn't recognize her. And that's going to be the thing. She has to kill him again. And that's like a whole nother thing of trauma. I also would love for Agatha Harkness to stick around past next week's episode. I think she should be a mainstay in the MCU.
Yeah, I think she's dead. That is fuck, but I would agree. I think it'd be cool if she was still around, especially for Doctor Strange. Robbie, KenJac, excuse me.
Yeah, no, I do think that would be very cool if she was able to be a main player moving on, only because her powers, I think, are not necessarily unique to the MCU, but her powers and her sensibilities certainly are, because we don't really get magic villains, right? Like Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch both have that power set, but they're both like, at the very least, Doctor Strange very much unequivocally good. Scarlet Witch obviously on the borderline a little bit, but Agatha being on the pure bad side, I think would be interesting moving forward.
Clem.
Bonus motherfucking episode.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction. I like that.
I need it. Game of Thrones. I have a hole in my soul ever since Game of Thrones didn't come through with that bonus episode, which I don't think anyone would have even watched after the way the finale wrapped up. But I need that to happen. And I talk about this, Robbie. I mean, you guys all remember back when there was like bonus songs on CDs and stuff. That was such a cool feeling when you heard that first tone of music. I need that to happen, and it fills in perfectly with the way the Winter Soldier would then start the week after.
Yeah, there's like 2 weeks.
I think we get Reed Richards. That's my bold prediction. I think is probably wrong, but I won't even call this one.
We didn't.
I think this is right, so I won't make it. But I think X-Men and mutants are going to be, the word mutant will be spoke in the next episode.
I actually thought that's what Agatha Harkness was going to call her at the end.
That's me too. I was like, you're a mutant.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to say, you are a mutant. And it was going to be like, whoa.
But the rabbit, Ralph, it's just so many things we got to answer in the next episode. It's hard to comprehend, but that's why I'm fucking excited. And then a 1 week break. And then we're going to do Falcon and the Winter Soldier for this as well. And then after that, we'll do Turner and Hooch with Josh Peck. Big breakdown.
That needs
big time breakdown.
in a big way.
That's it for Robbie Fox, Clem, KenJac. I'm Jeff Lowe. Next week, the finale. WandaVision live and on YouTube.
I'll clap that one.